Welcome. Welcome to this time, to this place, as we rejoice together in the miracle of Christmas. For this one night of the year, let us put aside our cold-hearted knowledge, maybe set down our hard-headed realism. Let us forget for a few moments our grown-up logic and take comfort and delight in an ancient, wondrous story of divine promise and a small child's birth and a bright, mysterious star.
The words for our responsive call to celebration are printed in your order of service. As Sandy lights our chalice, I invite you to stand as you are able and read the passages in bold type. In this night, the stars left their habitual places and kindled fire tidings that spread faster than sound. In this night, the shepherds left their posts. In this night, the foxes left their warm burrows. And the lion spoke with deliberation. This is the end. Revolution. In this night, roses fool the earth. And began to bloom in the snow. In those days, a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered. All went to their own towns to be registered.
The Age-Old Story by W. Waldemar W. Argo. The festival and spirit of Christmas belong to the entire human race. Every people and every religion have attempted to state through the medium of poetry and symbolism what it felt was the truth about our common life. It is impossible for the human mind to comprehend abstract truth, hence its constant use of symbolism and metaphor to express what the heart feels and the mind deduces. Thus, after many ages, with their crude attempts came the story of a babe born in a manger, as if to link the highest with the lowliest, predicting a great future from simple beginnings. A blend of starlight and stable straw, the divine and commonplace. Here is the epic story of human life, told in the most soulfully poetic manner. In this homey story dealing with elemental things, we are told that our human life has been visited by God, touched from above, and thus forever haunted by divinity. When we are prone to grow cynical about human nature, speaking harsh words of criticism and condemnation because we imagine there's so little good about our jostling, blustering humanity, we shall indeed do well to remember that humanity has ever felt itself to be the promising babe in the manger of God. And so we rehearse the Christmas drama, not because we believe as literal historic fact the nativity legends, but because we have come to feel that the highest truth is not known by logic, but by love. After all, there may be nothing in the universe, even with its light-year measurements, greater than love that prostrates itself at a cradle. It is the understanding of this great mystery that dissolves all mysteriousness of life.
Joseph also went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David called Bethlehem, because he was descended from the house and family of David. He went to be registered with Mary, to whom he was engaged, and who was expecting a child.
Old Thoughts of Christmas by Christopher Morley, adapted. It is an impertinence even to write about Christmas. Christmas is a matter that humanity has taken so deeply to heart that we will not have our festival meddled with by bungling hands. No efficiency expert would dare to tell us Christmas is inefficient, that toys soon are broken, that no one can eat a peppermint cane a yard long, or the curves of our chart of kindness should be ironed out so that the peak load of December would be evenly distributed throughout the year. There is an efficiency of the heart that transcends and contradicts that of the head. Things of the spirit differ from things material in that the more we give, the more we have. To modernize the adage, to give is more fun than to receive. Christmas conforms to a deeper efficiency of the heart. We are not methodical in kindness. We do not fill orders for consignments of affection. We let our kindness ramble and explore. No one ever refuses a shipment of kindness because no one ever feels overstocked with it. And our kindness, thank heaven, is not the placid kind of angels. It is veined with human blood. It is full of absurdities, irrational frustrations. A person 100% kind would be intolerable. Just a few hours on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. The stupid, harsh mechanism of the world runs down, and we permit ourselves to live according to an untrammeled common sense, the unconquerable efficiency of goodwill. We grant ourselves the complete and selfless pleasure of loving others better than ourselves. How odd it seems, however unnatural, how happy we are. Humanity must be forgiven for having invented Christmas. What matters, theology, masculine pronouns? For the first or fundamental energy, theology is not saddled upon pronouns. The best doctrine is but 3 words. God is love. Love or kindness is fundamental energy enough to satisfy any brooder. And Christmas Day means the birth of a child. That is to say, the triumph of love, life, and hope.
While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in bands of cloth, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place in the inn.
You Have to Know Your Body as the Home of God by Rebecca Parker. You have to know your body as the home of God, and this is the purpose of Christmas. The rose blossoming in the wilderness is the unfolding of your pleasure as the fingers peel an orange and sweetness buds in the mouth. The bright star in the night sky is the sudden clarity of your instinct for joy. The birth cry in the night is your child falling into the dark and your arms holding her. The terror of Herod's murderous intent is your rage that would prefer death to change. The singing angel is your voice at church, not sure of the tune, but certain for a moment that there is glory. The animals breathing their warm breath in the fragile stable are your emotions kneeling into the body of earth, at ease in the presence of God. Mary is you, God in your body. Joseph is you, sheltering God in the world. This is the key to the mystery. The Word became flesh. We are the dwelling place.
Now, in that same region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. To you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger."
Be Glad at That Star by Clark Wells. Several years ago, and shortly after twilight, our 3.5-year-old tried to gain his parents' attention to a shining star. The parents were busy with time and schedules, the irritabilities of the day, and other worthy preoccupations. Yes, we see the star. Now, I'm busy, don't bother me. On hearing this, the young one launched through the porch door, fixed us with a fiery gaze, and said, "You be glad at that star." I will not forget the incident or his perfect words. It was one of those rare moments when you get everything you need for the good of your soul: reprimand, disclosure, and blessing. It was especially good for me, that surprising moment, because I am one who usually responds automatically and negatively to the usual exhortations to pause and be more appreciative of life. Unfortunately, I was caught grandly off guard. There is a notion with some truth in it that we cannot command joy, happiness, appreciation, fulfillment. We do not engineer the seasons of the soul, and yet I do believe there is right and wisdom in that imperative declaration: you be glad at that star. If we cannot impel ourselves into a stellar gladness, we can at least clean the dust from the lens of our perception. If we cannot dictate our own fulfillment, we can at least steer in the right direction. If we cannot exact a guarantee for a more appreciative awareness of our world, for persons and stars and breathing and tastes and the incalculable gift of every day, we can at least prescribe some of the conditions through which an increased awareness is more likely to open up the skies for ourselves and for our children. It is not always the great evils that obstruct and waylay our joy. It's our unnecessary and undignified surrender to the petty enemies. And I suggest it is our duty to scheme against them and make them subservient to human decree. Matters more subtle and human should command our lives. You be glad at that star.
Behold the star. Behold the star up yonder. Behold the star. It is the star of Bethlehem. Behold the star. There was no room found in the inn for him who was born without sin. The wise men came down from the east to see the newborn Prince of Peace. The angels sing, now hear them call, for peace on earth, goodwill to all.
And suddenly, there was with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth, peace, goodwill toward all."
Trick or Treat Christmas by Robert Fulghum. A Sunday afternoon it was, some days before Christmas, with rain, with wind, with cold, winter's gloom. Things to-do list was long and growing like an unresistant mold. Temper, short. Bioindex, negative. Horoscope reading suggested caution. And the Sunday paper suggested dollars, death, and destruction as the day's litany. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. Fa-la-la-la-la. This holy hour of Lord's Day bliss was jarred by a pounding at the door. Now what? Deep sigh. Opening it, resigned to accept whatever bad news lies in wait, I am nonplussed. A rather small person in a cheap Santa Claus mask, carrying a large brown paper bag out thrust. "Trick or treat!" Santa mask shouts. "What? Trick or treat!" Santa mask hoots again. Tongue-tied, I stare at this apparition. He shakes the bag at me, and dumbly I fish out my wallet and find $1 to drop into the bag. The mask lifts, and it's an Asian kid with a $10 grin taking up most of his face. "Want to hear some caroling?" he asks in sing-song English. I know him now. He belongs to a family settled into the neighborhood by the Quakers last year. Boat people, Vietnamese, I believe, refugees. He stopped by at Halloween with his sisters and brothers, and I filled their bags. Hong Duk is his name. He's maybe 8. At Halloween, he looked like a wise man with a bathrobe on and a dish towel around his head. "Want to hear some caroling?" I nod, envisioning an octet of urchin refugees hiding in the bushes, ready to join their leader in uplifted song. "Sure, where's the choir?" "I'm it," says he, and he launched forth with an up-tempo chorus of jingle bells at full lung power. This was followed by an equally enthusiastic rendering of what I swear sounded like "Hark the Herry Angels Sing." And finally, a soft-voiced, reverential singing of Silent Night. Head back, eyes closed. From the bottom of his heart, he poured out the last strains of "Sleep in Heavenly Peace" into the gathering night. Wet-eyed, dumbstruck by his performance, I pulled a $5 bill out of my wallet and dropped that into the paper bag. In return, he produced half a candy cane from his pocket and passed it solemnly to me. Flashing the $10 grin, he turned and ran from the porch, shouted, "God bless you," and "Trick or treat," and was gone. Who was that masked kid? Hong Duk, the one-man choir, delivering Christmas door to door. I confess that I'm usually a little confused about Christmas. Never has made a lot of sense to me. It's unreal. Ever since I got the word about SC, I've been a closet cynic at heart. Singing about riding in a one-horse sleigh is ludicrous. I've never seen one, much less ridden in one. Never roasted chestnuts by an open fire. Wouldn't know how to if I had one. And I hear they're no big deal anyway. Wandering wise men raise my suspicions, and shepherds who spend their lives hanging about with sheep are a little strange. Never seen an angel, and my experience with virgins is really limited. The appearance of a newborn king doesn't interest me. I just as soon settle for some other president. Babies and reindeer stink. I've been around them both, and I know. Little town of Bethlehem is a pit, according to those who've been there. But I am sure that I believe in Hong Duck. The one-man Christmas choir shouting, "Trick or treat," door to door. I don't know who or what sent him, but I know I am tricked through the whimsical mischief of fate into joining the choir that sings of joy and hope. Through a child, I have been treated to Christmas.
On this night, when we celebrate hope and love made real in the world, we open our hearts to those who long for shelter, stability, and peace. Tonight's offering supports Shelter Care Ministries, whose mission is to provide shelter, awaken hope, and honor the dignity of every person who seeks help through their programs. Their work supports individuals living with chronic mental illness and helps end homelessness for families and individuals in Winnebago and Boone counties. Through this ministry of care, lives are transformed. One family whose lives were forever changed are Cedric and his children. Cedric, a single father, and his 2 young children have been living in his car for over a year. With help from Shelter Care's family housing program, Cedric and his children are now in their own home for the very first time. As we share our gifts this Christmas Eve, may we help create more stories of hope like Cedric's. The offering will now be given and most gratefully received.
In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star in the east and have come to pay homage."
The Camels Speak by Reverend Lynn Unger. Of course, they never consulted us. They were wise men, kings, star readers, and we were merely transportation. They simply loaded us up with gifts and turned us toward the star. I ask you, what would a king know of choosing presents for a child? Had they ever seen a baby born to such simple folks, so naked of pretension, so open to the wind? What would such a child care for perfumes and gold? Far better to have asked one born in the desert, tested by wind and sand. We saw what he would need, the gift of perseverance, of continuing on the hard way, making do with what there is, and living on what you have inside. The gift of holding up under a burden, of lifting another with grace, of kneeling to accept the weight of what you must bear. Our footsteps could have rocked him with the rhythm of the road, shown him comfort in a harsh land, the dignity of continually moving forward. But the wise men were not wise enough to ask. They simply left their trinkets and admired the rustic view. Before you knew it, we were turned again toward home, carrying men only half willing to be amazed. But never mind, we saw the baby, felt him reach for the bright tassels of our gear. We desert amblers have our ways of seeing what you chatterers must miss. That child at heart knows something about following a star. Our gifts are given. Have no doubt his life will bear the print of who we are.
When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the Magi and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word so that I may go also and pay him homage." When they heard the king, they set out, and there, ahead of them, went the star that they had seen in the east, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the stable, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chest, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road.
Frankincense and Myrrh by Hayward Brown, adapted.
Once there were 3 kings in the east, and they were wise men. They read the heavens, and they saw a certain strange star, by which they knew that in a distant land the King of the world was to be born. The star beckoned to them, and they made preparations for a long journey.
From their palaces they gathered rich gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Everything was in readiness, but one of the wise men seemed perplexed and would not come at once to join his 2 companions. They were old, these 2 kings, and the other wise man was young. When they asked him, he could not tell them why he waited. It seemed that there was nothing more which he could give the new king. But he was not content. The camels were impatient, swayed and snarled. The shadow across the desert grew, and still the young king sat and thought deeply.
At length he smiled, and he ordered his servants to open the great treasure sack upon the back of the first of his camels. Then he went into a high chamber to which he had not been since he was a child. He rummaged about, and presently came out and approached the caravan. In his hand he carried something which glinted in the sun.
The other kings thought that he bore some new gift more rare and precious than any which they had been able to find. They bent down to see this last gift for which all the caravan had waited.
And the young king took a toy from his hand and placed it upon the sand. It was a dog of tin, painted white and speckled with black spots. The youngest of the wise men turned a key in the side of the black and white dog, and then he stepped aside so that the kings and the camel drivers could see. The dog leaped high in the air and turned a somersault. He turned another, and then fell upon his side and lay there, with a set and painted grin upon his face.
A child, the son of the camel driver, laughed and clapped his hands. But the kings were stern. They rebuked the youngest of the wise men, crying, "What folly has seized you? Is this a gift to bear to a king of kings in a far country?"
The young king picked up the toy of tin and placed his last gift with his own hands into the treasure sack. For the King of Kings there are gifts of great riches, gold and frankincense and myrrh. But this, he said, this is for the child in Bethlehem.
And Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart.
A good story doesn't have to be factual to be true. A great story didn't just happen long ago, it's always happening. Tonight's story is the story of today. This story is powerful because it's not an exhortation, but a moment. It's not a teaching, but a narrative. The meaning we assign is entirely what we bring to it. I was out at the Holy Wisdom Monastery in Madison, Wisconsin the other night celebrating the solstice. It was cold, and we had a little tiny fire, but we burned the Yule, we read some Bible passages. It was one of those groups of pagans, Christians, none of the above, all the above. And there's a reading, they said the Lord's Prayer, but it was from the First Nations version, a translation of the New Testament. And actually, as I was trying to wrestle, what do I say tonight? I had these comments that I've said many times about Christmas, but what anchors this story for me in these times so uniquely empire, right? So I decided to read the First Nations version translation of this story. It's the First Nation version is a translation of the Bible put together by a council of elders, pastors, and indigenous scholars. And I wondered how and why this story, which has been used to oppress and do so much harm to indigenous people, could be powerful enough that any First Nation person would even be interested in claiming it as their own. And yet here, that translation existed. The power in this version I found was in its naming of familiar characters in this passage that I read. Mary becomes bitter tears. Jesus is creator sets free. Herod is bad-hearted chief looks brave. Think about that one. Rome is the people of iron. The final verse of tonight's nativity story in this version reads, "Bitter tears kept these things hidden in her heart and wondered what all this would mean." We have a bad-hearted chief looks brave. We all shed bitter tears. We are all curious about the promises of Creator sets free. I share this not because it changes the story for me, but because it dislocates me from within it. It takes me out of this familiar story as I know it. For many of us in North America, we are invited into the Nativity each year to experience this holy moment as if it were our own, as if we owned it, as if the Holy Family looked like the majority of us. I'm reminded that this holy night of peace does not feel holy and peaceful for many. Children separated from parents, military families on alert, waiting for the next period of separation and loss based on the whim of a bad-hearted chief looks bad. Legal residents being rounded up and caged, presumed guilty without due process. The story asks us to question, who are these people of iron? Who are those being ordered to go home to be counted to prove their documentation? Who find themselves on a night like this without a place to stay? Reading this nativity story, so much a part of my life and religious tradition, from a perspective outside my experience, reminded me that a phenomenal story can also be many things at once. It can be my story. It can be somebody else's. The love and light emerging from midwinter darkness can feel like it's just for you. It can also be entirely for somebody else. That is the mystery of creation, of God, of spirit, or whatever word you choose to describe a love greater than us, and at the same time, a love that relies on us to share it. A love greater than us and a love that relies on us to share it. It's a love everywhere and at the same time fully contained within you. It is a creator with many names and a mystery beyond all naming. It is the spirit of Christmas. And so this evening we share a sacred promise that although darkness is now strong and the cold increases, winter is not the final word of life. This is the night when dreams and stories are spoken as a reminder for tomorrow when we keep sacred the promises that we make. On this night of all nights, let us join in the angel's song, "Glory to the Spirit of God and peace to all people on earth." On this night of all nights, we dream of how this world might be, and we pledge our goodwill to all. For even now, in the coming of winter's deepest cold, we receive the promise of warmth, and in the days of longest darkness, we see the light returning in triumph and joy. So let us prepare the candle. This is the light which is promised. This is the hope of the season of joy. This is the flame of courage that burns in every heart. This is the flame of love that lights each human countenance. This is the flame of compassion that guides each human soul. We are keepers of this light, we and our siblings in all the great wide world. Would ushers please come forward for Reverend Joyce to light your tapers? While that is happening, here is how we will share our candle flames safely, so that I am not the interim who burned down the church. The ushers will carry their lighted candles along the aisle, offering their flames to the person at the end of each row. As the light comes to you, bend your unlighted candle into the flame. Unlit into lit. Then hold your light upright and steady for the next person to receive the light from you. As we sing together, let the light pass among us, that we may each carry it forth from this place and share it with the world. Let us be together in this annual tradition of light. And as the flame comes to each one of us, let us dedicate ourselves anew as willing bearers of life's warm light into a cold and dark, fear-filled world. And the world, because of this, will be less cold, less dark, and less afraid. Let us sing our final carol seated, Silent Night.
and hope to brighten even the darkest days. The child lies sleeping in the manger. Let the joy of the story, the glory of the star, the miracle of light returning shine brightly in our hearts. Go now in peace to celebrate Christmas. Please extinguish your candle.